Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Big Four podcast. My name is Luke Spring, and I'm with your usual Brian, Nick, and Andrew. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm good.
Terrific.
It was weird. I'm not home.
Yeah, Brian's not home.
Brian.
I don't know how long I'm going to keep up this terrific thing.
Every time.
I don't know how long.
Not much
It's
longer
literally-
when the Celtics beat the Lakers.
It's literally one of the most irrelevant
No, I'll
parts
still say I'm
of
terrific
the...
next podcast. I don't give a rat's ass. But
It's
Lakers game.
literally one of the most irrelevant parts of the podcast. So you could keep it up forever and no one would know. But as always, we are your number 2 source for all things sports. If you know, you know. Today, it's kind of going to be random because we can't really talk. I mean, we could talk about the Super Bowl, but we're going to save that for next week when it comes closer to game time. And yeah, there's just NBA stuff, college basketball if we want to talk about. But Nick wants to start us off. So Nick, I'm going to hand the floor off to you.
I do want to start us off because I got so bored in my econ class today. My teacher was literally eating a Subway sandwich in front of us. It was funny.
I haven't had Subway in so
But-
long.
I got so bored that I decided to go on NBA.com and I was like, you know what? It's about 2 weeks or so, a little over 2 weeks since the James Harden trade. That happened on the 13th. Let's see what all 4 teams, the status of their, I don't know, how they've changed, if anything's changed. And the one big thing that I jumped on, I was all looking at the splits, all the stats from what happened before. And I kind of want to get your reaction. I have pretty much one stat for every team and then one overall stat. I'll start with the overall stat because this is the coolest one. I mean, you probably have to take the rest of them with a grain of salt. But I thought when we first discussed the trade, that it was very, very equal in the sense that I thought every team got better in some way. And according to the stat, they pretty much have. Indy, every team has moved up in the standings since the trade. Indy moved up 1 spot from 4th to 3rd. That's not much, but it's still an improvement. Brooklyn went from 6th to 4th. Houston went from 14th to 10th after going 4-2 since that trade, which is pretty cool. And Cleveland has gone from 10th into a tie for 6th. I don't know what they are officially, but they have a tie for 6th record. So that was a really interesting one. All 4 teams improved. Now, if we get into the actual, going into every team, we can start with Indiana because I think this is very interesting. They have been able to keep every single statistic relatively the same since the trade. Offense has gone down by maybe 1 or 2 ranks in various stats, and I assume that's mainly because LeVert's not playing yet, which is impressive because I think when LeVert starts playing, those numbers will start to go up. So Indiana, I think, is on track to get better when and if LeVert starts playing. I don't know what his timetable is for return. Cleveland ranked last in the NBA in scoring before the trade. They averaged 98.9 points a game. Since I know they had a double overtime game when they scored 140 against Cleveland, but they've played Brooklyn. They played some of the better defenses in the league. That's the Celtics and the Lakers. And they averaged 121 points a game since that trade in their last, I think it's through 5 games, which is the timetable of Allen and Prince started playing the 20th. So that was very interesting. They way up. And then they're all actually on the season averaging 6.5 more points per game, which is very interesting. So now we get into Houston, Brooklyn. And I think this really makes James Harden look like kind of a bum here. Because before the Harden trade, Houston was 22nd defensive rating. Since they got the trade, they're 1st in defensive rating since the trade, number 1. And they've moved up to 4th overall in defensive rating. And Brooklyn got worse in every single defensive statistic except blocks since the trade. I mean, obviously they have gotten a couple overtime games, but their offensive rating before the trade was 114.1, defensive 108.9, which is a net rating of 5.2. And then I'm going to end with this. Since that trade, that net rating has shrunk into 0.8. 5.2, and it's shrunk into 0.8. Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I'm not going to overreact, though, about the Rockets. So the Rockets are good. Now, I mean, they've had a few good wins. They've won 4 straight. But when you look at the teams, they play the Trailblazers, who every single year they're a 7 or 8 seed. They can't get out of that spot. The Wizards, who are keeping Bradley Beal hostage, I'm convinced, because this man is dropping 45 on a regular basis, and they're still losing by 20 every game. The Mavericks are surprisingly bad. I don't know what it is this year. I guess they just don't have anyone else other than Luka. Because when he comes off the floor, I think they're plus minus. I don't know what the exact number is. But it has to be well in the negatives. And then Detroit, they beat them by 1. Who Detroit at this point could be a Division III college team besides
Well,
Jeremy Grant. They would average
here's
80 points a game without him.
the impressive thing, though, about that is that Washington and Portland, Washington is 4th in points per game. Portland is 6th in points per game this season. And Houston has managed the defensive rating that's 1st in the league since that trade. So that's impressive. They've managed to have the best defensive rating in the league since that trade has happened. So since Oladipo, I looked at the stats since Oladipo started playing, which is the 18th, so 5 days after the trade. Same as with Cleveland, Allen and Prince play the 20th, and Harden started the 16th for Brooklyn. So I took those numbers when those players started playing, so I disregard the numbers in between because I didn't think those were I don't think those really told the story. But they've held Washington, and they managed to have the best defensive rating in the league while playing a top 6 offenses in the league. So I think that's impressive for Houston.
Oh yeah, they are a good defense. I mean, Oladipo is obviously one of the better two-way players in the league behind Kawhi, Jaylen Brown. I don't know who else, but he can score and he can play defense.
Clay.
And Clay, sure, but he also is dead, so it doesn't really matter.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I want him to be healthy so bad. The Warriors would be so good. They would be so good. But for me, I think it's just a matter of them wanting to play. I feel like they were just the first few games of the season, they were just waiting out James Harden, and they didn't really care if they lost or won. And then once they got out, things changed. So then now they want to play hard and play defensively. So I think they just really needed to wait until Harden left to find their identity as a team. And then they were able to have strings of good defensive games like this, because in the beginning of the first 3 or 4 games, they really couldn't do anything with Harden there. They couldn't establish who they were as a team because there were so many distractions around. So
I still think that the most impressive team so far has got to be Utah. I mean, they're playing absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know how.
They're always good in the regular season.
Yeah. They're a top 3 defense. They're the best team with rebounding. And then you also have players like Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson, I think, and then Bojan Bogdanovic. I think they got like 5 guys averaging over 10 points per game. Donovan Mitchell leads the way with like 23, 24. And then you have Jordan Clarkson with 17, 18 points a game, which is really impressive. And I just feel like, and then they're very strong defensively. So when you pair basically a top 10 offense, which they probably are, and then they're top 3 in differential, and then top 3 in defense and best with rebounding. So when you put all those together, I mean, it's a tough Western Conference, and they're beating out the Lakers. They're beating out the Clippers. Yes, the Lakers had a tough one yesterday to the Pistons. Don't worry, Nick, we were there too. But overall, I think Utah's coming off strong. Like you guys said, they're a good regular season team. We got to definitely see what they are when it comes around to the playoffs, because the NBA shows it. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you do in the regular season. If you show up in the playoffs, it's really all that matters.
Let me go back to Brooklyn, and I want you to listen. I'm gonna make an overreaction right now, an overreaction statement right now, and I want you guys to tell me what you think of this. I think we can all agree that the playoffs are called a little differently officiating wise. I think we can all agree that they let the players play a little bit more in the playoffs. Like James Harden,
it depends.
James Harden is like statistically goes to the line more than anyone in the league, and we know that
Joel's getting that there at this point.
We know that teams that shoot a lot of free throws generally struggle in the playoffs because the officiating isn't called as much. The teams that get a majority of their points at the line don't play as well in the playoffs. And when we look at Brooklyn, they are terrible in almost every defensive statistic this year, mainly because of depth. And 2 of their 3 core players playing over 40 minutes a game can't defend. And they got rid of Prince. He's a good defender. They got rid of Allen. He's another good defender. So they're getting rid of these guys that are all good defenders. And the only defensive stat that they improved on was blocks. They averaged 0.5 more blocks a game than they did since making the trade. They were an average. They are an average they were an average defensive team before. They had some stat rating wise. They were 13th before the trade. Now they have dipped to 25th rating wise defensively, which is bad. That's bad because you don't get a lot of those you save those bottom, 20 teams defensive rating. Those are the guys that end up, fishing for ping pong balls in the offseason, trying to get lottery picks. Like that's those kind of teams. That's not a playoff team, nevertheless, a 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I think that is a big issue for Brooklyn. So I think these stats are projecting if Brooklyn keeps in this pace, they're going to be a first round exit.
Yeah. I mean,
Wouldn't be surprised at the smallest, especially with how if they don't win out or not win out, but play, 650% basketball to get a top 4 seed, they're going to get stuck playing a better team in the first round than you would hope for. And especially having.
It seems right now that Milwaukee, their regular season team, we'll assume they'll cruise. Philly's right now not looking like
they'll fall apart.
They can't lose at home right now, but Philly will probably end up top 3. Milwaukee will be probably 1 or 2.
Philly has a losing record on the road. That's ridiculous.
Last year they were 20-2 at home,
but
they
were
Brooklyn 9-24 on the road, something crazy like that.
It was ridiculous.
Brooklyn's looking at probably being around a 4 or 5 seed, and they're probably going to get stuck with one of Boston or Indiana. That's probably, and if I don't think they can beat Philly if they get stuck with Philly either. So that's where they're looking at probably playing in the first round, because I don't think they're a better team. I don't know if anyone knows what LeVert's timetable is for recovery. Just shout it out. But
I have no idea.
Not exactly sure.
Hopefully he comes back, because if he does, Indiana's really holding their stats since that trade, even without LeVert, without that scorer. So if LeVert comes back, hopefully he does, Indiana's going to be a good team. Milwaukee's fine. It's Milwaukee. And Philly's probably going to be in the top 4, top 5. And Brooklyn will be too. But I don't think Brooklyn's better than some of those teams, especially they don't have the longevity. They won't have the guy that can play. They don't have that LeBron that can play 2 games in the year, or whoever. They don't have that guy. They're all going to sell. These are load management players. K's coming off an injury. Kyrie's a B word, and James Harden's also soft too. So
a B word.
I don't want to swear. I
a kid, Nick.
Too much.
That was funny though.
That's so facts.
I think if I'm overreacting here, defensively, they're not going to go on. They can't. This team with the guys. The lack of depth, they can't maintain a win streak. They can't do that. They're not going to be able to maintain a win streak. They lack depth. These guys can't win 8 straight games playing 45 minutes a game. It won't work that way. It's not. These guys are going to be dead. And when you got some guys coming off injuries, guys that can't maintain themselves, Kyrie and Harden, it's very difficult to do that. So I would say Brooklyn probably stays at the 4. They get stuck with Indiana or Boston. I don't think they're beating either team.
Oh, so they're beating Indiana. I think they're beating Indiana.
So I think that they can beat LeVert. They can beat Indiana.
LeVert, because they have Sabonis is great. Brogdon's playing great, and they get LeVert. He's another 20-point per game scorer. I don't think they're containing Indiana.
I think that they'll beat Indiana. I don't think that if they're the 4 or the 5, I don't think that they'll get past Philly if Philly stays at the 1. Just because
Milwaukee.
Yeah, I just have a lot of concerns with their interior defense, and I mean, obviously, that's where Joel Embiid can really shine. He's obviously his 3-point shootings really improved. I mean, he's going to out rebound. He's still going to get to the line. I mean, Philly averages 25 free throw attempts a game. That's second in the NBA. And I can guarantee that 10 to 15 of those have to be from Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid is just one of those guys where he's going to get those calls, especially in close in the paint. So I think that if he can get to the line, which is really his game, I think that they can get past Brooklyn. Tobias Harris has looked a lot better. Ben Simmons, I don't know what's up with him, but he's not really that good of a scorer anyways. Right. We've known that. I mean, he's more of a rebounder, assist guy. So I think that he should just focus on facilitating Joel Embiid. And obviously, I mean, Seth Curry is very underrated this year. He's been shooting the ball pretty well. So I think that Philly can get to the conference finals. I don't know where they're going to go from here. And Brooklyn, I think that they're a second round exit. If not, I don't think they're going to the finals. And if they do, I don't think they're going to win the finals. And really, with those 3 players, if you don't win a championship, that's a loss for the season.
I mean, if you look at the teams last year in the playoffs that allowed Philly allows right now 121 points a game since the trade, 121. It's a lot of points. And they're only scoring 121.9. So they're somehow 5-2, but those are 2 big numbers. And the teams that do that give up that many points. 2 years ago was last year. Brooklyn defensively gave up a lot of points, and they ended up being the 7th seed. Orlando wasn't good defensively last year. They were the 8th seed. Portland was the 8th seed. That was a killer defensively.
Orlando was just not a great team overall.
But the bottom line is the point I'm trying to make is that teams that allow that many points a game are not going to be able to maintain a win streak. I think that's what separates the really good teams and the really bad teams. That the really good teams can lose a game, but then they can bounce back to maintain a win streak. The really bad games can get into slumps, and they also can't when they get hot, when they get 3 in a row, they can't maintain that. They can't extend on that, and they lose these bunnies, these small games, the unimportant games to bottom seeds, to lottery pick teams, because they can't defend, and that's their issue. And Brooklyn's in that issue right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty obvious last year, the teams that made it to the conference finals, excluding Denver, Boston, Miami, and the Lakers, they were all playing great defense at the time. And, well, the Clippers had one of the better defenses in the league
and the NBA
as well.
defense wins championships.
But, yes, exactly. But their defense was not great against Dallas, and it was pretty bad against Denver. So, I mean, it's like you said, defense is going to win you championships, and
right.
They didn't show that.
The only team that couldn't play defense in last year's NBA Finals, that made the conference finals, that didn't have a great defensive repertoire was Denver, and they overcame a 4-1 deficit, a 3-1 deficit to Utah, 3-1 deficit to Utah. So that was a good comeback there. But
Clippers.
Then the Clippers, they're a choke franchise. So there were some nice crazy anomalies. I don't know what the
Don't
word
hurt
is.
yourself.
In there are some of those crazy events that happened in the playoffs, like Miami making the finals. But Miami was a good defensive team last year. They knew how they ran a nice zone that Spoelstra drew up, and they were able to contain teams to points. They contained Giannis. They contained the Celtics. The Celtics play good defense. The Lakers were top 5 in defense last year. Go back even Golden State, their championship seasons, they had good defenders. They were a good defensive team. Draymond, Clay, Durant, those guys could all defend. So that in the NBA, defense is going to win you championships. If you don't have defense, you're not going to win a championship. And Brooklyn sacrificed defense to get a big 3 that could score overwhelmingly offensively. But they're only averaging 121.9 a game. That's not enough. This is like the Red Sox. Last year, Bryant's going to need to score 8 runs a game to win. Yep. Brooklyn's going to need to score 130 to win. Can they do that every night? When KD, Harden, and Irving are taking one out of every 3 nights off? Can they score 130 a night when those guys are playing 2 out of 3 games?
In 2 of the times they've done that, guess what happened? They had to play overtime. Actually, 3 times now.
Right, right. They've managed to go 5-2. They've managed to go 5-2. I don't know how they've been able to do
3 overtime games.
They got to play Miami twice. Miami's an easy one. Miami's not a great offense, so
no, Miami's
and Jimmy's like non-existent.
Yeah.
Is he playing?
Does
he play basketball?
He hasn't played in a while.
Tyler
Hero's been out for a while. Not that Tyler Hero's that good, but they rank in the
Hero's
bottom 25% in offensive scoring. So
because all those guys Florida government doesn't care about COVID. Like they're all getting COVID, and that's their fault. That's their own fault. They put that on themselves. They're all getting COVID, so that's on Miami. But Brooklyn got to play Miami twice. So those are 2 very easy wins. But somehow Brooklyn made it difficult because they gave up 127, I think. And went to overtime, giving up 127 in regulation to a team that didn't have their top 2 scorers.
Yeah.
Brooklyn did that.
To who? Miami? They didn't go to overtime.
Mm-hmm. I think so. One of the games, I thought. Well, they gave up over 120. They gave up over 120 in one of the games.
Whoa. Just random. I'm looking at the scores right now. Milwaukee's down 26 to the Pelicans in the second quarter.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Zion.
Really?
Well, is everyone playing?
I don't know. I'm going to look.
They gave up over 120.
Yep.
They gave up over 120 to Miami. 120 in Miami. Miami didn't have their best 2 scores.
Giannis Brooklyn's 2 for 8 from the field.
Brooklyn did that. Brooklyn, you can't defend. You're not going to win. This is my overreaction for Brooklyn. It might not even be an overreaction. they keep up this plan to score overwhelmingly and try and just win in shootouts, it's not going to work. Houston tried it. It didn't work. All right. It's then Tony wanted to try it with all threes. It didn't work. This isn't going to work in Brooklyn. Big mistake. They should have kept the depth. That would have had a better chance because I think Durant is a dog. I think he's a closer. I don't think he should have to share. I don't think he should have to worry about sharing the ball. To be honest, I think Brooklyn was better without Kyrie and without Harden, with all that depth. I think KD can manage on his own. This team does not have a chance to win the finals if they can't defend. They got to pick up the slack somehow, and I have no way of knowing how they're going to do that because, I mean, I don't even think Phil Jackson could even figure this one out. Like, no one can figure this one out. They can't.
So, I don't think
it's not going to work.
I don't think they were better without Kyrie. I think they still needed Kyrie. They were a better defensive team with just KD in the bunch, whatever. But they needed the second guy just because who was that second guy without Kyrie? There was really no guy. So their best shot.
Luwalu Cabarro.
Yeah. No. Well, at that point it was LeVert.
No,
but,
I'm joking.
So I, in my opinion, their best in terms of ranking those three that you said, their best to worst shot was probably
what they had to start of the year.
KD and Kyrie, and then KD by himself, and then now the big three. I still don't think that
three. They're 5-2. This isn't a bad team. They're going to win games, but they have put themselves in the category as a regular season team now. That's what this team is.
They're going to win games at a costly level.
They can get to 45. They can get to 50-something wins in the season. They can do that. They can make the playoffs. They'll probably get home court advantage in the playoffs. This is a team that can do that. They can do that on a regular basis. But this is not a team that's going to take themselves deep in the postseason. It's not going to work. They don't play. They can't play. You can't do that in the playoffs. They call games differently. It's just you need defense. You need defense in the playoffs. Defense is going to win you championships in the NBA. And if you're not playing defense like Brooklyn, you end up like Houston. This is an Eastern Conference version of the Houston Rockets. That's all it is.
I don't think it's a matter of defense so much as it is how gassed they will by the end of the year because they're playing 72 games.
Well, yeah,
they're all playing 40 plus minutes. I don't think it's so much as the defense. Sure, that's an issue, but if they were all healthy and able to play 40 plus minutes in the playoffs and be themselves, I think they would have been fine. But in my opinion, they're going to touch 25 minutes and I'll be gassed by the end of the year, or someone's going to injure something, or it's just not going to work out. Well, I think the defense issue is an issue, but it's not as big of an issue as them not being able to play because they're going to be so tired.
Well, defense. Well, I guess that makes sense, but I think defense is the issue. Defense is an issue because of being tired, because defense is all effort. It is majority effort. When you're tired, you're going to foul guys more.
And some strategy. You need to know where you're supposed to be.
I guess there's strategy, but you're not born a good defender. You're not born a good defender. It's mainly effort, and then there's strategy. But all those guys, they got the strategy part down. That's how they're coached. But there's a whole other aspect of effort, hustling back, staying in front of your guy, working hard the entire way, not giving up. Like, that's all effort. And when you're tired, you're probably going to foul more, and you're lacking the effort. Guys are getting past you, getting posted up easily, back down the paint. It's just very difficult to, and you know this better than me, Luke, but I know it's it must be much more difficult to play defense tired than it is to play offense tired.
It depends. It depends on momentum and if you're, it's a weird question. If
it's a nail biter, and you're gassed and you need to win or you're out, I assume it'd be much more difficult to defend gas.
Well,
to defend
if you're asking me personally, I'd rather play defense because I don't play offense. But if you asked anybody else,
play offense.
Probably say offense.
Offense. I mean, these guys, they're strong. They shoot jumpers effortlessly. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to get the ball to the hoop. But defensively, it takes a lot of effort to stay in front of your man the entirety of the play. And it's when you're playing 40 minutes a game. When the concerning part is that they're playing these guys 40 minutes because they need to win in the regular season. They shouldn't have to do that. The good teams are taking their players out when they're up by 30 in the third quarter. They're taking them out when they have these big leads. Brooklyn's issue is that without the depth, this is where the depth comes into play. Without it's all works in unison. Without the depth, you get close games, forces the starters and stars to play more. They get more gassed. We get to the postseason. They can't defend, whatever. They're gassed. They're out hustled. The hustle, everything's against them. It's not a recipe for success. You really need to if Brooklyn can go deep in the playoffs, it's because they somehow shot 60% from three and took 35 threes a game. Like, that's the only reason they go far in this playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Are we good with all the Brooklyn talk?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Fine.
I want to switch to the NFL. So officially, I think, was it Wednesday or Thursday? Deshaun Watson requested a trade officially. Besides the Patriots,
they signed Coley, whatever the guy's name is.
I don't know, but
right
besides
after they signed the coach.
Besides the Patriots, because that's not a likely scenario anymore, what team would you guys want to see him traded to?
Want to see him trade? I don't want to see him trade anywhere near the Patriots, but realistically, I think he's going to go to the Jets.
He's either going to the Jets or the Dolphins.
I wouldn't want to see Deshaun Watson trade anywhere near a division rival. I don't want to see him go to the Dolphins. I don't want to have to play him twice a year. As a Pats fan, I don't want to play Deshaun Watson twice a year.
Since the Dolphins and Jets are both in the division,
the most realistic is
a better question. Where do you think Deshaun Watson? No, a more realistic question is, where do you think Deshaun Watson should want to go to get traded to? Like, if you're Deshaun Watson, what team do you want to go to?
Want to go all?
Yes.
I think Deshaun wants to go to the Jets because of the whole coaching thing and Saleh. I think he wants to go there. But if I was Deshaun Watson,
Miami,
I'd go to Miami for sure.
Yeah, probably Miami. But if we're just talking any team here, any team that can afford him, any team that could be able to trade him, or we're just going to talk realistic options.
Let's be
realistic. Then Miami. Realistically, if I was him, I'd want to go to Miami. But I think we all know. I think he wants to go to the. I think he wants to go to the Jets, but Jets, Miami. I'm not prepared to have to play Deshaun Watson twice a year because Patriots are on a 2-game losing streak against this guy.
I'd rather him go to the Jets for that reason.
Yeah, how funny is this? For 20 years, the Patriots dominated the AFC East. Now the Bills went to AFC Championship game. Both the Dolphins and the Jets the Jets aren't looking up, but they got a new coach. But the Dolphins are looking up. And the Jets have the second overall pick, potentially could trade for Deshaun Watson, and the Patriots are in the slums.
It's fine. I think the Jets have the most to offer for Deshaun Watson. They can use the draft picks. They might not even have to give up players. They can.
Well, the Dolphins also have the Texans pick.
The Dolphins have the Texans pick, and they also have Tua that they can use in the trade.
It's so if I'm looking at it from Deshaun Watson, I want to go to the Jets. If I'm looking at it from the Texans front office, I might want to trade with Miami because they might have more to give.
If the Texans front office is like Nick Caserio, Patriots guy, yep, not happening. We ain't trading him. I don't know what you're talking about. That's what he said today. That sounds a lot like I'm not going to play.
The last thing that you want is your franchise quarterback sitting out because he doesn't want to be there. Just get
walk in free agency.
Well, he just signed an extension, so he's not going to sit out for 4 years.
So he's going to sit out for 4 years.
I used to think that free agents, people requesting trades was kind of a jerk move, and I get pissed when, especially someone on my own.
It depends on the situation. Like this is justified in my opinion. This is justified.
At the same time, it can be thought of as a player just saying, you know what, I don't want to wait for my contract to end. Just get something for me now, rather than me sit out and walk in free agency.
Yeah, and all the players have come out and said that they totally support Deshaun. Like they 100% are supportive of this decision. JJ Watt. Yeah, JJ Watt admitted he was just like, sorry, we ruined one of your.
Well, yeah, he wants out too, probably now.
1 year golden years. He led league in passing. They didn't make the playoffs.
Exactly. Well, their defense was kind of terrible.
So. Well, yeah, that's why JJ Watt, to be honest, sorry defense and everything going on. We wasted your best statistical season of your career. We wasted that. They didn't make the playoffs, and he had the best statistical season of his career, and they missed the playoffs. They weren't even close either.
I still think that this is that was a terrible coaching hire by Houston. I don't understand why.
0 cents. Why would you get a wide
It makes
receivers coach
a
from
wide
a team that doesn't
receivers
throw the
and
ball?
a quarterbacks coach.
Have you seen the thing on CBS Sports? CBS Sports posted on Instagram. They said,
Oh, Nick,
this dude,
you and your CBS Sports Instagram, you love him. And he's also frozen. Say it again.
This dude Culley, the coach of the Chiefs, the Texans, he was the coach of the Chiefs, the wide receiver coach, the year that whole core that included like Dwayne Bowe and all those guys, 0 touchdown passes. He was their wide receivers coach.
They had 0 receiving touchdowns,
bro.
Apparently, he's not a great coach, but I heard that he's a great leader of men. So maybe the military is more his facet. I don't know.
Yeah, his favorite movie is 300 or Gladiator. One of those.
Yeah.
He'd be great in the
Football
Coliseum.
aspect might not be very good, but
No.
he can lead a group of guys to the
I
restaurant.
don't know.
get a
I don't know
bite to
what
eat.
they're trying to do there. Like trade your best receiver, and then trade a pick for an offensive lineman who was, if I'm not mistaken, he was pretty much injured the entire year. And then you go out and hire a wide receivers coach from the second to worst passing offense in the entire NFL.
Yeah. When you
Solid
had a
stuff.
chance to hire the offensive coordinator for a top 2 offense in the league.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And this guy, the guy is freaking 65 years old with his first head coaching job.
Yeah, that tells you something right there. 65
Like,
first head coaching
that's
job.
yeah, first of all, that shows you something that he probably shouldn't be a head coach. And second of all, it shows you that he's really not going to be around that long unless he coaches until he's 80.
Mm-hmm.
It's just dumb. It's a stupid move. F-.
Yep.
Why didn't they hire Bieniemy?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Why did you just hire that guy?
He's
I mean,
he would be
unless this
Or
Culley guy
Buffalo's
presented
OC.
I know, but I guess there are issues defensively, so I mean, it makes sense to maybe. But why'd you hire a wide receivers coach? This guy has no connection defense.
That's what I'm saying.
Walked into the front office with a master plan on how to increase defensive productivity from bottom of the league to first. I don't get this signing because this guy's not necessarily an offense coordinator genius too. All he did was tell receivers to run routes, and when he did that in Kansas City, his receivers caught 0 touchdowns.
He also, no, he
0.
didn't tell his receivers to run routes. He told his receivers this year to block for Lamar. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But then when he did, I don't know if I cut out connection wise, and that was in no sense. If you guys heard what I said, what I said was
Just say it again.
The 0 touchdown thing.
the 0 wide receiver touchdown.
Yes,
yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
the wide receiver coach at KC. That's so
Yes, we
bad.
heard. Yeah, that's terrible.
That's
It's
so
a terrible
bad.
hire. It's so
That's such a
stupid.
bad thing to put on your that's such a bad thing to be on your resume.
How can
that
Houston
you-
look at that resume and be like, "Ooh, this guy is awesome"?
Maybe they're paying him by the hour. Maybe that's what. Maybe they don't have to pay him much.
I'm working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living.
All right.
How about the Bruins though?
They're great.
Bruins?
They
Oh, I
actually
wasn't going to move
found-
on to that, but we can talk about the Bruins, I guess. They're good. Again, it's
They've been
super early.
Fuegoletzky.
It's super early. They've been pretty
It's
good.
just good to see them scoring 5-on-5 goals because they're not good at that, and they have the best 2 goalies in the goalie tandem, which is very
Yes.
important.
Yeah. Yep. Wait.
Right now, the best goalie in the league is Qdobin too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Old backup. All of our old backups were good. We always
Yeah.
had good backups.
Yeah.
It's like New England quarterbacks.
Backs. Well,
New England
26
quarterbacks.
2016 New England quarterbacks.
They're all
Yes. Well, I mean,
With
Brissett.
Garoppolo, Brissett. Yeah.
Brissett
they're
kinda-
starting.
That's crazy. how
shut
they
out
both
by
got,
Buffalo.
They both got huge deals like within like a year of being on that roster, and that year they got like huge deals.
Brissett didn't get a huge deal.
He
How
got-
much was
he got a
his?
big deal for a third string. They saw him play
What
one
was
game
it,
and
like-
beat the Texans, and Indiana's like, "Ooh, I want this guy."
What was it like?
100%.
Philip
20
Dorsett.
mil? Moving on to baseball. I don't really know. Like, we can literally talk about this for a minute and a half.
Baseball!
Not even because it really doesn't matter.
Have we talked about
But-
Kike? No, yeah, we did
Jock-
on Monday to TC. We talked
Yeah,
baseball on
Jock
Monday.
Peterson is on the Cubs.
Eddie
This was
Rosario to
aw-
the
this was
Indians.
so weird.
What happened since the Simeon signed with Toronto since our last podcast?
No, I think that was early. I think that was before. But
No.
I don't think
No, it was 2 days ago.
it was.
No,
oh,
they signed
really?
before,
It was, no.
yeah.
Well, Simeon to the Blue
It
Jays
was
is
only
huge.
a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
These
that
are
tells
always
you,
like
that tells you about
the-
Toronto's goals for the future.
The Jock
They wanna try
Peterson
and
one
do
was a
something
1-year
now.
deal. This one to me was
That's
so
Jock-
weird. What are the
Jo-
Cubs doing? It was so
Jock
weird.
is a Jocks is
Maybe
a
it's-
prove it
it-
deal. Simeon's is a why are you not giving that guy like at least 3?
No, I
Yeah.
That one
know.
doesn't
Maybe
make
they're like,
sense.
we'll pay. Well, who wants to be in Toronto? I mean, this guy's been.
George
I
Springer,
mean,
he
right
beautiful.
now,
Springer.
right now, I kind of would.
I would too. Yeah, they're good. They're good and young. They're gonna be good
They
for a long
are.
time.
Who knows? They could be
Yes,
playing
sir.
in Buffalo again.
Yeah,
That'll be
Yikes.
tough.
whatever. But this
That-
Peterson didn't make. I
Stadium
don't know
that
what
looks
the
like
Cubs are trying to
NEBC.
do. Chris
I know.
Bryant has
I
been
don't
on the
understand.
trading block for about like 3 or 4 months, and then they go out and sign Jock Peterson for 1 for 7. I don't know. I don't know whether they're wanting to contend or they're trying.
They
to
just need a
clean
roster
house.
filler.
Oh,
I'm
and
like,
then
you know,
and
this
they
guy
got
can
rid
hit
of
for power.
Darvish too. They got rid of Darvish. I don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing. It confuses me. Ever since whenever Theo leaves, it just goes bonkers. So.
Yeah.
What if this is all like Theo stuff, like written on a list, and just tells him his succeeding GM to
These
do
are-
that? And then he just
These are
bounces.
these are his final
His-
executive orders as he
his
leaves office.
his last wishes is before he goes to be an MLB commissioner. Just puts it all
Yeah,
on a
facts.
list, like written on
just-
like a sticky note. Just trade Darvish, sign Peterson to 1 year for no reason. Wait till wait 5 months to trade Chris Bryant. Like just all this thing.
I'm just excited how the
Did
Sox
Did
are.
Contreras get traded too?
he's on. He's been.
who's
Oh wait,
that?
no. No. Yeah, he's on the Angels.
Yeah,
he's on the
yeah.
Angels.
Yeah,
Contreras is on the Angels
bounce
now.
off from Wilson Contreras.
Really? Yeah,
I'm like,
this was
this
earlier in
dude
the
is
year.
gone. Wait, so the Angels are good. The Angels
wait,
are
no.
good. They have hitting.
Uh,
No, I thought they went to the Padres.
Oh no,
No.
so he got traded. He
No?
got traded to the Angels, but then the deal fell through. So he's still in the Cubs, but they still have interest in him. I don't know why. It was. It's
Oh,
confusing.
Well,
the
that's
Angels
still on the
appar-
wish list. So his successor screwed the pooch on that one.
I saw something today that the Angels have extreme interest in Christian Vasquez, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, I saw
that-
that too.
Hell
If-
to the no.
if
no.
that interest is so extreme, they
I want
better be giving
Trout.
something good.
Give me
Yeah,
Trout.
okay. Nice one, Nick. That was funny.
I
Give me
don't
Trout
know-
or Rendon. I want
don't usually
CV7.
You don't usually get extreme interest from a guy who's like 5th to 10th in the league as a catcher.
And who are they
Like,
gonna
he's
trade?
good,
We
but,
need.
like,
What do we
Yeah.
need? What do the Red Sox need? Pitching. What pitching do the Angels have to
Pitching.
offer? They have like
Nothing.
5
That's-
scrums that were at one point good in there, like Julio Teheran and Dylan Bundy, like all these guys that had like 1 or 2 good seasons, and then just
You already
are-
got like one of their. I
like,
mean, Richard.
they
is
had
in San
Matt
Diego,
Harvey.
but-
Like these are these
Yeah.
guys that had like like a good prime and like 1 or 2 good seasons, and then now they're just terrible.
Yeah, and
They
then
like
Let's
a
take
bunch of.
look.
They have 5
JT
guys with like a
Realmuto
4th.
got paid.
The Angels.
He's
are
the
fine.
best
Like,
catcher. He's the best catcher in the league.
He
so
is.
That makes sense.
Yeah, 5 years,
Yeah, nobody I want.
115 mil.
The Angels
Quintana,
rotation. They have like 5 guys that were like
Shohei,
had 1 good season. Now like consistently post
Bundy.
4 or 5 ERAs. Like
Yeah.
that's the
oh,
rotation.
Ty
now.
Buttery was
That's
the
why
beginning.
they're not.
You
good.
want
Yeah.
5 in it. You can get all right starters. Angel star. As an Angels fan, I'm not an Angels fan, but I have people that are Angels fans, and they tell me what they expect from their starters: 5 innings, 3 runs. That's it. That's all they
Yeah,
expect.
It's
That's the
their
expectation.
offense.
5
That's
innings,
so
3
bad.
runs, couple
Their
of walks, 3
offense-
strikeouts. Like that's pretty much it.
Their offense isn't bad. Their offense is a wild card baseball team offense. Their pitching, however, is like bottom 10, bottom 5 in the league. That's why they can never get into a wild card spot in the playoffs.
Poor Mike.
Forget
Trout. Best
winning
player
the
in
division.
baseball.
They're not going to win the
Never been
AL
to the
West.
playoffs.
What's
But
his fault for signing a
no, he's been there
13-year deal?
once,
Oh, yeah,
twice,
He's stuck
once,
in
twice.
SoCal for life. He's done.
He's been there once or twice. I don't know how many times. but
Trout?
it's early. Yeah, he's been to the
playoffs
playoffs.
once.
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
rookie
once.
year.
Once. That's right.
Oh, he's
once.
never. Has he never won a game then?
No,
Wild card
no.
game. I think he lost. Yeah, wild card game. He played 1 game.
It was like in
Is this like young Trout?
13. It was like
rookie
13.
year Trout. So
Was it
4 years
11?
Welcome to the
ago.
playoffs.
I think so. 2012 maybe, when the Sox were bad. I don't know. It wasn't 13 because the wild card game in 13 was Rays and Texas.
Right.
I know that for a fact because Tampa won and we played them. But what I was finishing to say with the Sox is that they are, I would assume, Moreland signs. That's just because nobody else is talking to him, and the
Yeah.
interest kings are the only ones who are. And same goes for Workman.
Yeah. I
Or
mean,
even
I think I don't
Workman
see why
just
they
to
wouldn't
get him
get.
back for Pavetta and Seabold.
Yeah, I wouldn't
about
see
me?
why they don't sign Mitch Moreland back. I mean, a lefty
It was
bat would be
2014.
great for that.
2014
Yeah.
2014.
wild card game.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Kansas City. Who they play?
I was done. I was just
Oh,
saying
Texas,
that Moreland
maybe?
would be good for the Red Sox because it gives them a
Probably
lefty
like a 1
bat.
seat that year.
Okay. Fair enough.
I
got it right here.
Who are you trying? Were you trying to figure out who they
Yeah,
played?
Kansas City.
No, Kansas
I
City
know
played the
The
A's.
two. They played. Oh, Angels
they were in
played in the
they played the
divisional.
Royals
They played
in the divisional, yeah.
and they got swept.
So Mike Trout hasn't won a
But the
single
Royals
playoff
did play
game.
in the
Wild
CFs
card,
and lost to the
they-
Giants.
Yeah, they got swept by the Royals in the first round.
Oh,
Or
when
Was
the
that the
Orioles
divisional
were-
round.
When the Orioles were in the playoffs that year against the Tigers and lost. That was
They were
funny.
good when they
What
had
2014 playoffs.
That was the year they had
JJ Hardy and Adam Jones and Chris
Oh,
Davis and Matt
yeah.
Wieters, and they were good.
Nick
the
Markakis.
2014 playoffs.
yeah.
Markakis. He's on the
AL
Braves now.
representative.
He's on-
O'Day, who the closer was Britton.
Darren O'Day. Darren O'Day.
Britton was the closer.
Zach
Just listen to the
Britton.
teams who were in
Mr.
the
Stinker.
2014 playoffs. Giants, Pirates, Royals, A's, Cardinals, Dodgers. Okay, Giants, Nationals, Orioles, Tigers, and Angels. Yeah, that's the last one. Angels.
That's
Oof.
bad. No, the World
American
Series.
League,
The
Royals, Angels, Tigers.
Well,
A's.
was that Cabrera's Triple Crown year? Which one was
no,
Cabrera's
he
Triple
was
Crown year?
13.
13.
I
when they-
think it was 13.
when we
The
beat
year the
them,
Red
I
Sox
believe.
knocked him out in the
Yeah, I
CL
think it was
in the
13.
CS.
I think 13
Believe
was
so.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the World
Baltimore won 96 games that year. Wow.
they were good. They were good.
Who was
They were
the
deep.
pitching? Who was the pitching they had? What was the pitching they had?
They had Kevin Gosman, right?
He was
Kevin Gosman on
young.
that team?
2014. He was young. Yes, he was. But
Starters.
he was young.
Tillman was a unit.
Tillman.
Oh, yeah.
And did they have Bundy? I think they had
Gosman.
Did they have Bundy?
Andrew Miller
I-
was in the bullpen. They had
I don't
Britton
know.
when he
Oh,
was
that's
good.
right,
Ubaldo
Miller.
Jimenez started.
Bud Norris. Bud Norris. Bud Norris.
Ubaldo.
Bud Norris. But yes, they had
show the
Darren
ball behind his
O'Day.
back when he throws.
Yeah.
Again, wraps his
That
hand
team's a
around his
little
spine. He's like,
Their
when he
rotation
throws.
was Tillman, Wiegand, Chen, Bud Norris, Miguel Gonzalez, Ubaldo, and then Gosman towards the end because he was a rookie.
The World
bull-
Series the year
in a-
after was so weird. It was
Mets,
more weird than
Royals.
Mets Royals.
That's right.
Who the heck watched that? Who watched?
Not
that?
me.
I
two
didn't.
games.
One
I
in
remember
five.
watching two. I remember watching the last
So odd.
whatever the last game was, the winning.
But that's
game,
when the Cubs were getting good because they lost in the NLCS. I mean, they got swept, but
Yeah. They
I
beat
think that might have
the
been.
and
they
the
beat the
Stros, right?
they beat that stacked Cardinals team that
Didn't
year.
the Astros like make the playoffs that year? Wasn't like
yet the
start of
Astros beat the
Astros?
Yankees in the wild card, and then they
It's like the
lost
start of the
to
Astros.
Kansas City.
This
Yep.
is the year. This is the year after, or I think it was this year. That year for the preview, the guy was like, "The Astros are going to win the 20 whatever World Series," and they did.
It was 2014 when they were one of the worst team in MLB history.
Yeah, it's
And
so
then the
it's so
Sports
sad
Illustrated
'cause
coming
they-
out, and then it said
2013.
you're-
2013.
I
they were
had that
51
Sports
and
Illustrated.
111.
Yeah, I had that.
Yeah,
Sports
it was that.
Illustrated.
I think it was the year after, the year before.
He said
Around that
2017.
time
Your
span.
2017 World Series champions.
Yeah, and that's when they
It
won.
was that tie. Did that guy get like a bonus for saying that? Did he get like
He had to have
a bonus
3-year
check
prediction.
for calling that about the worst team in MLB?
No, but that's
Like me
sucks
hop,
that-
that's
2013
like
was
me
their
hopping
first.
on air and be like, "Yep, guys, Kansas City Royals, 2032 World Series champions, book it."
2013 was their first year in the American League, but going up to that, 2011 56 wins, 2012 55, 2013 51.
Jesus.
Oh,
That
and then
sucks for them
2014,
though.
70.
Like,
I
I
mean,
That's
this
so
was
bad.
the
And
press
they jumped to
Astros team where they had like that
86.
they had that gross
2016
logo. You had no idea
84,
what
they
it
got
meant.
worse, and then they go out and win the World Series. Bang bang.
No, what that
Um,
Bang
that
bang.
that
Then
sucks though
they
because
lose
they
to
did
bang
us.
bang trash can.
They've
they
been a
did
100-win
s-
team the last 3 seasons. and
they did
before that,
such a
they-
good job drafting and developing all the players that they had, and then they just go out and cheat, and it means nothing. They did such
also
a good
It
job. with
disgusts
the
me how they went to
development.
Game 7 of the ALCS this year, and they were 29 and 31 in the regular season.
No.
Oh, they were below
They were
500.
below 500 and they made the
I did not know
playoffs.
that.
Mm-hmm. That's how bad the
Wow.
freaking Red Sox were, bud.
Oh,
Yep.
speaking
My
of the MLB
gosh.
Players Association, screw them because they didn't approve the to keep the
DH.
longer that and the longer postseason.
Yeah.
I
I
liked
don't-
Oh,
that.
I like that.
I like that. I like that
want them
too.
to. I want that to evolve so the one seeds kind of pick their teams. Now I know it's going to be, obviously. I know they're obviously going to pick the worst team there, but I just think it's like kind of like a fun way to motivate the lower seed to win.
Yeah. Well, it
I don't
also
like
they
the three
could
games-
pick
I don't
a
like the 3-game series thing because I think it knocks out a team that doesn't deserve to be knocked out.
yeah.
Like the Cubs last year. You think the Marlins had any right to be in the second round?
Last year doesn't count, but a team like say the Red Sox just theoretically win 100 games in the regular season, are the number 1 seed, and they play, I don't know,
Toronto.
the worst team, and they lose. That's ridiculous. That team shouldn't be in the playoffs. You should be playing a team who's coming off a wild card run or wild card game, already had to use their number 1 pitcher, so you basically have games 1, 2, and 3 without their ace. That's how it should be. That's what you get because you deserved it because you were the best team in the regular season. You shouldn't
That's
get
true.
just having one bad start and in like you lose one game, you're against elimination. Like
I'm also not the biggest fan, and I don't know about you guys, but of the guy starting at second base in overtime and extra innings. Like I've never been
also
overtime.
stupid. That was just
Yeah,
last
that
week,
was
too.
dumb.
I've never been.
was
I mean,
dumb.
I hope I think that's
That was
ending,
weird.
but I've never been a. I just want to throw that out there. I've never been a big fan of that. I've always believed, like watching Game 3 of the World Series, Sox Dodgers. Like I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, out of way, Nate. Keep dealing, kid. Keep like 6 extra innings. This guy was balling and extra. Like that's what you want. That's what I like to see. I like to see these extra inning battles. It should be a battle of all right, which team can last the longest, which
Yeah.
pitching staff. I mean, not put a guy at second base like score quicker. Like that's stupid.
Yeah.
Because then a leadoff base hit in extra innings, that's great. That guy, in my opinion, the guy who leads off with a base hit in extra innings, you're on first base, but you should be the only guy on the base paths. It should not be, and you should like if you get leadoff base hit in extra innings, the guy is going to score from second base.
Yeah.
So
It takes away
you
the
get a leadoff
whole.
It's so and it forces pitchers to sit on they're sitting on the bench, after they had finally got out of an inning where they started off with a jam. They started off in a jam because of the rule. That's so stupid. And they're sitting on the bench like, all right, and I got to go out and I got to figure out, I got to go from the stretch, which is sometimes out of my comfort zone with a guy on second base. And like, if anything, put the guy on first base. Like I could deal with that maybe a little bit more. It's all dumb putting a guy on the base paths.
Yeah.
It's so dumb because then you force a pitcher to go out of his comfort zone, start out of the stretch. It's just so annoying. It's so annoying. Like let these guys go to work. This is a battle between pitcher and hitter, not pitcher playing cat and mouse with a guy right behind him because the MLB decided, you know what? I want games to be more high scoring. Put a guy at second base in extra innings. Let's see how that works.
It takes
so
away the
stupid.
whole strategic side of coaching
It
too.
does.
Because if you get a single, the guy scores. If you get a single and that's the first guy on base, you got a bunt to
Yes.
move people
It's a
around.
chess
You got to
match.
take a chance to steal bases.
Right.
It like once you get a guy on base in extra innings with nobody out, then it's all you score runs between your ears. That's
And
really how you're going to do it.
It's so stupid because if let's say the Red Sox are in this situation and they're playing the Yankees. Let's say they're playing the Yankees in the playoffs and it's like Game 7. They're finally extra innings. Like yes, extra innings. They got a chance. They snuck out of the 9th inning. Oh wait, they got to put their Brett Gardner at second base
With DJ LeMahieu
or something. Or let's say the Red Sox are the away team, so they start the 10th and they can't find a way to punch it in. They go 1, 2, 3 because they're probably playing like Chapman or someone. They gets like the 7, 8, 9 hitters and buzzes them all 1, 2, 3.
Chapman's
second
not
base.
doing that in the playoffs.
But then the Red Sox have to go out, and I'm like, all right, great. So we didn't score the guy on second base. Now our terrible bullpen gets to go out against the Yankees, top of the order, when they got a guy on second base. Like it's so stupid.
Well,
Like
if
if
they're
you
a
get
terrible
out one,
bullpen, if they're a terrible bullpen, they wouldn't be in the playoffs.
if you go down, I don't think as a fan, I don't think for the players, no one should worry about having to. No one should worry about. Great,
careful.
now we're gonna lose. Why?
Because that didn't sound.
Be careful. What?
Be careful. I'm worried that we're gonna lose.
No, I said be careful. I messed up my word because
No, I know. That's why I said be careful because I don't know if you know what you're trying to say or not.
I'm trying. What I'm trying to say is I shouldn't, as a fan, have to worry about if I don't score in this extra inning, this game is over. I shouldn't have to worry about that. As we don't score this extra inning, we have a chance to go back out with the bases empty, put them down 1, 2, 3 or whatever, and get the bats back up the next top half of the inning. Like I shouldn't have to worry about, oh great, we didn't score. We squandered an opportunity with a guy on second base. Now they get to start with a guy on second base, and they're going to score and they're going to win. Like I shouldn't have to worry about that. Neither should a pitcher, neither should a team, neither should a manager. It's not something that you should have to worry about as someone who watches baseball or for someone who participates in baseball. You shouldn't have to worry about that. It's just a dumb rule. I'm glad if it's out, I'm glad it's out.
Yeah, me too.
No comment on it. I could care
It
less.
took me a while to get the words out.
Both teams get the advantage, so it really isn't that big of a deal, but I could care less. We'll move on to our final thing, which is our picks, because we've been talking for a long time, but that's all right. The first one's going to be a game. Second two are going to be statistical selections. But the first one is Celtics Lakers tomorrow night. Nick, who do we have out of this game?
I'm not going to pick the Celtics. Obviously, the Lakers.
Lakers? Okay.
I'm not going to pick the Celtics. I can't do that. I lose dignity if I pick the Celtics.
Brian?
I can't pick the Lakers. I lose dignity if I pick the Lakers. I'm gonna have to go with the
Okay.
Celtics.
No one can. Neither of you. Maybe Luke, because I feel like Luke doesn't give a hoot about turning his back against his own teams. But like Brian, Andrew, why would you pick the Lakers? You just
Go
makes
ahead,
you look
Andrew.
weak.
Nick, you said that AD is probably not playing.
No, he didn't play yesterday, but he's just questionable for a game. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't play.
He'll probably play then.
no,
so-
play.
Lakers definitely struggling lately, so that's definitely a key.
Yeah. Even with my non-biased opinion, I'm gonna pick the Celtics.
Well, they're not really struggling. They had a back-to-back and have AD, and they suck. But I still have to pick the Lakers.
They suck, but I'm gonna pick the Lakers.
You know what? My dad gets pissed at me because every time the Lakers make a mistake, he goes, "You're literally a Celtics fan. Every time the Lakers screw up, you just say they suck." I'm like, you know what? Deal with it. The Lakers suck, Dad.
Okay.
gonna be
Well,
the
I
Celtics.
don't think the Lakers suck, and I think that they're going to win this game, especially if Anthony Davis and LeBron. What?
Happened last year, Luke.
Called it.
Yeah.
Called it right at the
I
net.
know. I
Luke
no,
has
but
no
I
issue
actually
turning
think
his back against his own teams.
It's
No
that-
issue.
I'm
No,
being
I get it.
logical.
No,
I'm
I
being
get it.
logical.
I get it.
I don't think the Celtics played a horrendous game, probably one of the worst games I've ever seen against the Spurs. It was just such a weird, awful game. Too many mistakes. So both teams are really not coming off of spectacular games. But I think if Anthony Davis and LeBron play, I don't think the Celtics can really. I don't know. I just don't see them winning this game. But I don't care.
I'm still scarred from what happened last year. So
That was
Luke,
funny.
what happened last year?
That was
Who'd you
funny.
pick in that game?
I remember.
I'm
I
still
remember
scarred.
last-
I'm still
Lakers,
scarred. I had
What
to
was
watch
it, 32-point loss, 39.
the
something like that?
worst loss of that season for Lakers I got to witness first. I'm like, I'm gearing up for MLK Day.
Mm.
Let's go. Loss by 30.
All right. Let's move
I
on
was
to
I was hyped up when they were up 8-0. Those were the days.
Let's move on to the second. Yeah, 8-0. Let's
Those
move
were
on to the
friggin'
second
days.
one, which is a statistical selection, and it will be 10 or more assists in a game. Nick, who do you think is going to get 10 or more assists in a game?
You know what? I was gonna say Jokic, but I just think LeBron's gonna do it. This is kind of stuff he does when he needs to make a win or needs to
He needs to make a win.
silence any kind of people saying LeBron's playing too many minutes or this and that, or the Lakers are wearing down. Like it's just something that he would do against the Celtics,
Brian?
against a good team. It's something he would do.
Well, this is for the week. It's not
For
the,
the
next
week?
game. It's for
No,
the
I know.
week.
I think he's gonna do it in the next game. And then
Okay,
they have
fine,
Denver
fine.
coming up soon, so that's something he would do.
Okay.
I'll just go with Doncic just because I hate Harden and I see he's leading the league in assists, but I want Brooklyn to lose and Luka could do it.
Harden will probably get like 15 assists next game.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'm gonna go James Harden.
I hate Harden too.
Yeah, I was gonna go Harden. But I was like, oh.
And the game, I mean, it's really going to be easy for
That's
them. They're
facts.
playing Washington this week. Washington's kind of terrible, giving up 120 points per game. Just dish it out to frickin' KD, Kyrie. I mean, you should be able
He
to.
dishes it out, but he also turns it over 36 times a game.
Yeah.
Okay, but whenever you dish it out, whenever you dish it out to KD or Kyrie, you're gonna get an assist. It's basically
Yeah,
the way it
I'm
is.
going James Harden too, and I'm also not worried. He's probably not going to get it against the Wizards because he'll probably they could be up by 30 in the third quarter and put in the
That's true.
scrubs. I'm looking at the Clippers game where he's probably going to have to play 42 minutes, and once he plays 42 minutes, he's going to get double-digit assists. So,
That's true.
if I was to pick a specific game, which we're not doing, it would be the Clippers game, but that's not not what we do here. So.
Most of these guys tend to. It's such a coincidence, but that's part of this whole stat pattern part of the league. Most of these guys put up these huge assist numbers and whatever when they need to play a good team. When they play the bad teams, they rack up the points. But when they need to play a good team, hey, I can do more than just score. So let me dish out 10 assists. It's like me in 2K. Like
It's
maybe
also they play more
just because I
minutes.
feel like it. Let me just get 20 assists. Okay, 20
Yeah.
assists.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Last one, a an NBA duo that's going to score 60, Andrew? 60?
Yeah, 60.
60 or more points. This is going to be interesting. Nick.
An NBA duo is going to score 60 or more points.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Who scores? Probably Dame and CJ.
That's a
CJ's
good one.
out for like freaking 4 weeks, guy.
So
Okay,
don't do that one.
Nope, they're not Dame and CJ.
Oh, I shouldn't have said anything.
No.
Well, it's whatever. Not Dame
You're
or
welcome.
CJ. So we'll go with Embiid and Harris.
Okay. That's interesting. Brian.
Tatum and Brown.
Tatum and Brown. That's a good one.
They both averaged 27. So I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not big
Andrew.
Celtics.
Considering I'm hoping that James Harden gets a bunch of assists, I'm gonna go with KD, Kyrie.
Yeah.
I think KD could easily drop 40 against
that's
the
good.
Wizards or
That's
the
good. I
Clippers,
should've
and then I mean Kyrie can just score 20. And with Harden hopefully giving him the ball with his 10 plus assists, they should score over 60.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go KD and Kyrie just because of how much it's pretty much automatic that they're both gonna get above 20 points a game. But they can also each get 30, or one could get 35 and 25. I think that's a lock safe pick. But if I were to do like a weird and interesting one, I don't know, Bradley Beal and whoever the second highest scorer on the Wizards is. That's who I would do, but I'm not doing that one. I'm doing James Harden and Kevin Durant, or not James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
Bradley
Honestly,
Beal by himself. Bruce do Bradley Beal and Bradley Beal.
Just if you pick
I'll go
Bradley
60.
Beal by himself, you get five total points because that's just one person. But I don't think anyone here wants to do that.
No.
I'd do it.
Nick, you're
No,
close to
I'll
me.
pick
and
you, man.
I'll
you're
stick with
very
my Embiid and
close.
Harris.
I could use
That's an
the
odd
points,
one too,
but
No, it's
I don't
not. Embiid sometimes pops. I think Embiid can pop for. I've seen this guy score up for 40. I think if you get a Harris averages over 20, if you can get Embiid on a hot 30 mid 30s night, Harris can counter that. It's not like Simmons is this elusive scorer. Like he's not even scoring the bat. He averages 10 a game. He's letting those two guys cook. I'm just saying.
yeah. You mean 18 free throws and
Hey, the ball goes in the hoop. Doesn't matter.
so soft.
All right.
The NBA sucks.
Final thoughts.
NBA sucks.
Pats.
Go Pats. NBA sucks.
Pats.
Brian, do you have any final thoughts?
Check in with me in 15 weeks and see how I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll
If
check in
you're
with you on
still-
Monday because that's when the next podcast is.
Well,
All
if
right.
I don't talk to you guys till Monday, I'm not going to be quite okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Go follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Big 4_podcast. I just realized I forgot to do that at the beginning, but hopefully you
That's
will see
all
at the
right.
end.
They know it by now.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you Monday.